Hello friends! Welcome to my channel Creating Essence. I am Megan and I'm so glad you stopped by today. Today I have a very special guest. Who are you?
Ella.
This is Ella. She is my number 3 baby. Now, it is almost a very special day. What's that very special day?
My birthday.
Your birthday. How old are you going to be?
7.
She's going to be 7. I can't believe you are almost 7. That is pretty awesome. Now, what is your whole name?
Raphaella Grace.
Yes, Raphaella Grace. And what does Rafaela mean?
God has healed me.
God has healed me. That's right. Her name has a super special meaning, and today we are going to talk about that and tell her birth story. Now, when we found out that Ella was growing in my belly, that was pretty special. It was pretty unexpected, but it was really cool. And my pregnancy was actually super normal and easy, especially for me because I tend to have really severe morning sickness, like hyperemesis gravidarum. But I barely even felt nauseous most days with her, which is pretty amazing. A miracle in itself. And then we went for our routine ultrasound at 20 weeks. And everything seemed to be going well. She was measuring small, but that was fine because my first 2 babies had been just about 9 pounds and 10.5 pounds. So I was okay with having a smaller baby this time around. So we weren't gonna find out if she was a boy or a girl because we already had one of each, but then I saw her on the ultrasound screen. She was sucking her thumb and kicking her little feet, and I started crying and I said, I have to know who she is. I have to know who she is so I can name her. Well, I was probably saying it at that point. And we found out she was a girl. And do you know what your name was going to be?
Do you remember? Ella.
No. Initially, we were going to name her Genevieve Sarai. Genevieve is a family name that we super love. And Sarai is also a family name. My husband's sister is Sarah, and Sarai is another form of it, and it means princess. That's what your name was going to be. But then a few days after her ultrasound, I got a call from my midwife, and she said, a specialist took a look at
there's
your...
a spider.
Oh, a spider. Hi, spider. He's crawling away. He's fine. See? It's all right. Do you want to get down and get away from the spider?
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. So a few days after our ultrasound, the midwife called and she said, so the ultrasound technician saw some things, so he had a specialist look at your films, and your baby girl has some things going on. And she explained that she has some cysts on her brain, quite a lot, and by themselves, choroid plexus cysts did not upset me or did not frighten me because 2 of my nephews had them during pregnancy, and they turned out to be nothing. So that was like, oh yeah, okay, those. They'll probably go away. And then she said, well, there's more. Her kidneys are really dilated, and actually they're not functioning. And I was like, well, my husband has kidney problems in his family, so that's, not okay. We'll deal with that. And then she said, well, her bladder is tiny, and it's also not functional. And I said, all right, wow. And she's really small. And I was just taking it all in, deep breaths, don't freak out. And then the little star of the show's over there, peeking around the corner at me. And then she said, No, I don't want you to Google. But all of these things are symptoms of trisomy 18. And initially my brain thought, oh, something like Down syndrome. I knew a lot of people growing up with Down syndromes, families who had Down syndrome children. And I had taught in special education before I had my own kids, so I was familiar with a lot of those things. So I was like, okay, that's all right. So she asked if I had any questions, said she would set up an appointment with a perinatalogist for an in-depth ultrasound with us, and that she would get back to me. So I got off the phone, and naturally I Googled, and oh my gravy, it's not Down syndrome. The general medical opinion is that trisomy 18 is incompatible with life. Very few children who have it live. Very few make it outside the womb, mostly because doctors recommend termination. They deem that there's no quality of life to be had, so they recommend termination. And many babies who are allowed to live beyond the earlier weeks when doctors recommend termination should take place are stillborn before they get to their due date. So we were scared. We were instantly really, really scared. Went to the perinatalogist, who said pretty much what we had seen on Google. And we just knew we would never terminate. It was not, if our daughter was going to die, she was going to die when her time came, and we weren't going to decide when she was going to die. I know many families who have made the choice that they thought was the humane choice to terminate their children with similar issues, and that's their personal choice, but our conviction was that it was not up to us to decide that her life was over. So we continued with the pregnancy. We had regular checkups. I kept seeing my midwife because my pregnancy really was going well physically. She was checking on me physically and emotionally, and the perinatalogist continued to check on the baby, and we continued to see the same things. So we decided a name. All of our children are named for meaning. We do use some family names, but only when there's a meaning we feel is profound. And we found the name Rafaela, which comes from the Hebrew name for God, Jehovah Rapha, who is the great physician. And Rafaela is a beautiful Italian name that means God has healed me. So we chose the name Raphaella Grace for her. And then we went to our appointment with a perinatalogist at 32 weeks after it was about 12 to 13 weeks of just trying to come to terms with the fact that we would not be coming home with a live baby whenever she was born. And we went to our checkup at 32 weeks, and the perinatalogist took about an hour, very, very silently, just went over our baby top to bottom and measured everything over and over, and it was so quiet. And at the end, she finally put the wand down, the ultrasound wand down, with a perplexed look on her face, and she just said, "I'm going to order all your past scans so that I can look at them side by side and compare them, because I don't see anything wrong with your baby." And this was a perinatalogist we had seen before. She had looked at our baby before. And we'd had many ultrasounds, and they all said the same thing. And suddenly, she was completely whole and healthy and catching up on size. And there was not a thing wrong with her. So after really thoroughly checking things out, we were dismissed from the perinatalogist care and continued to see our midwife. And at 39 weeks, 5 days, well, at 39 weeks, 4 days, I was having contractions all day, they were intense, but like 10 to 15 minutes apart. And nothing was really happening. It just was enough to keep me awake. And I didn't sleep and for days before. And that night I just laid in bed and sobbed. And I said, God, pretty much tonight I need a baby or I need sleep. And I closed my eyes, and the next thing I remember, waking up to sunshine, and I was kind of confused and disoriented. But that morning we went on as usual, and I was having the random contractions again for like the third day in a row. But I was feeling a lot of pressure. So I called my midwife, and she just had this sense. She's like, she was an hour and a half away from us. She said, why don't you come down to the birth center, and I will check you out, and you know, if nothing's going on, then we'll just call this your 40-week checkup that you would be having in 2 days anyway. So we made the drive, and we stopped halfway through to get the kids some lunch, because at that time we had a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old as well. And I was like, you know, nothing's going on. Why don't we just go to the outlet mall and walk around and let the kids play? So I called my midwife to tell her that. And she said, you know, you can if you want to, but I just would really like to check you out. Like, I feel like your baby girl's time is coming soon. And I'm glad I listened to her, because we got to her around 4 p.m. and I was having no contractions. Not one, nothing. But I was 4 centimeters dilated. And she said, let me finish up with my client here, and I'll be done for the day. And you just, you know, take a walk around the grounds and, you know, play with the kids and stuff. So we did that, and I was, you know, power walking. I was like, we're already here. Like, if something's going to happen, I'm going to conjure it up. Bust a move. Get it going. And I wasn't having contractions, but I was having a lot of pressure. And after an hour, she just, and she's not one to do a lot of cervical checks. So it was interesting to me when she asked to check again, because she said, if I'm going to send you back home an hour and a half away, I want to know where you are. It was totally reasonable to me. So she checked, and she said, okay, you're like a stretchy 5 now. So in an hour, like 0 contractions. I had dilated a centimeter, like a full centimeter and a little more. So she said, obviously something is happening in your body. So why don't I go home? Like, you just rest here at the birth center, roll around on the birthing ball, watch some TV. I'm gonna go home, get my animals, or horses and dogs, tucked in for the night, fed, so they can be without me for like 24 hours if they need to, and I'll be back. So she left, and then my husband left to take our other 2 kids up to my parents' house pretty shortly thereafter. So I was alone at about 5:30, and I was just, you know, rolling around on the birth ball, watching TV, and around 6 o'clock, I had a really intense contraction. It's like, that was real. That was really real. And then 5 minutes later, I had another one that was equally intense. Like, I had to breathe to get through that one. So I texted my husband quickly, and I said, you need to get back here, because I'm having contractions, and they're fast, and they hurt. And so he hurried back, and he was back in about 5 minutes. And by that time, I was suddenly having contractions every 2 minutes. And about 10 minutes later, my midwife returned, and she just watched me for a minute. She's like, why don't we go fill the tub? Because that's not stopping. I asked her to check me again before I got in the tub, because I didn't want to stall things out if it finally was starting. Like, sometimes the relaxation from the warm water can kind of make contractions mellow out a little. And I was like, get this baby out. So I had her check me before I got in the water, and I was 9 centimeters. I had gone from a stretchy 5 to 9 centimeters in roughly an hour with not many contractions. Just when my body decided it was go time, it was go time. And yeah, I was like, all right, I'm getting in the tub. Like, you basically have to get to a point during labor when you're doing natural birth where you are so darn sick of these painful contractions that you're just ready to push. Like, I feel like that transition is that switch where you just hit your wall and everything about you just says, let's push this baby out. And I wasn't there yet. I had been laboring for about half an hour. So I got in the tub and I just relaxed and breathed through the contractions and just had nice, quiet, fun, lighthearted conversation with my husband and my midwife and her nurse. And yeah, 3 hours after that, well, about 2.5, it was 3 hours from those first contractions until my daughter was born. I pushed her out in 2 pushes right into my own hands because I just had this feeling like, oh, we had been through so much in her pregnancy. Like, I needed to feel her first, and like, I just needed that reassurance that she's here and to touch her and stare at her. And it was something inside of me that I was like, I told my midwife, I was like, I want to catch her. I want to be the one to catch her. So I was in the birth tub, kind of in a half-sitting position. And when she started coming down, I just put my hands down and I waited. And she came out into my hands. And she was perfect. She's perfect. She's never had a bit of problems. Not even a little. Developmentally, intellectually, as far as her health, medically. She has asthma. That's it. She has asthma from her environmental allergies. She's perfect. And we were told to terminate her. It breaks my heart to think that we could have missed out on her, the awesomeness of my Rafaela. So her name was just a beautiful self-fulfilling prophecy. And we knew when we named her that before we found out, before she was healed, when she still was having so many problems in utero. We believe that when you die and when you go to heaven, you're delivered from the physical form that has the sickness and the injury and the hurt. So we knew that whether she lived or died outside the womb, she would be healed. And that's why we chose that name. And we are just so grateful beyond words that she was healed physically so that we get to keep her here on earth with us. And I know not everybody has that amazing miracle. And I don't take for granted. I really, professionally, I am a bereavement doula as well as a birth doula, so I walk through situations where families know their babies are going to die when they're born. I get it, and I can't describe how grateful I am that I have my girl with me. And she's 7, and she's amazing. And so that's her story, a little bit about her and her awesome story coming into this world. I hope you enjoy that. I hope you enjoy that. I hope it blessed you. Please share this with someone whom it might encourage. And yeah, give this video a thumbs up. And please subscribe to our channel for more videos about our family like this. Bye-bye, friends.